I'm Michelle Franzen. This holiday weekend, health officials urging people to take precautions outdoors when mosquito-borne viruses are on the rise in parts of the country. Here's ABC's Em Nguyen.
Health officials are sounding the alarm amid a rise in mosquito-borne illnesses, including the West Nile virus and Eastern equine encephalitis, or EEE. In New Jersey, 2 older adults died of West Nile virus. The number of cases in the state now up to 8. It comes just one day after officials in Wisconsin reported 2 people dead because of West Nile.
Presidential candidates on the campaign trail for Labor Day weekend. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump focusing on battleground states. One big issue this election, reproductive rights. ABC's Rachel Bates says Trump has been reversing his stance on abortion.
He bragged for a long time that he was the president who essentially overturned Roe v. Wade. But this week alone, he flip-flopped multiple times on whether he supports Florida's 6-week abortion ban, first suggesting that 6 weeks is not enough time for women to even know they're pregnant, and that he would sort of vote to strike that in this ballot measure that they have coming up in the fall. And then after getting blowback from the pro-life community, he changed his position again and said actually that he would support keeping it in place.
Israel continuing raids in the occupied West Bank. The IDF says it's targeting Palestinian militants. ABC's Britt Clinnett has more from Central Israel.
The IDF claiming they've killed 20 militants so far in what they say is a major counter-terrorism operation, but fears that the war in Gaza could be coming to the West Bank. We saw firsthand some of the destruction in Al-Farar camp. Locals very much angry and picking up the pieces. Late last night, meanwhile, 2 car bomb attacks. The IDF saying a terrorist infiltrated an Israeli settlement. No civilians were killed.
In Gaza, limited pauses in fighting, all to help facilitate polio vaccinations in the war-torn enclave. You're listening to ABC News.
News Radio 97.7 FM and AM 1000. All news, all the time. On the Northwest's only all-news station.
63 and sunshine here in Seattle. I'm Mark Christopher now with this news update here in the 24/7 Northwest News Center. All that's going on here in Seattle, maybe not to drive, but maybe light rail time all the way from Linwood. The green light, Linwood to Northgate light rail has now opened in time for the holiday weekend. Come before us, Hannah Knowles at a celebration last night.
A celebration at last. 16 years after voters gave the stamp of approval, the Linwood light rail extension is now open to the public and ready for riders.
It means a whole lot. I've waited a couple of years for this.
High over I-5, the Como 4 drone captures the new 8.5-mile line that runs from Northgate to Linwood.
Next train is going to be coming from the opposite side.
Riders can now get from Linwood to Westlake in Seattle in just 28 minutes.
I work in the South Lake Union, so it helps me get to work easily.
The extension now adds 2 light rail stations in Shoreline, one at I-5 and 148th Street, and another at 185th Street, as well as a station in Mount Lake Terrace.
What excitement, too, for a lot of people to enjoy that here. Meanwhile, speaking of travel, a Washington State lawmaker expects to take another shot in the legislature here. It's all about increasing penalties for participants and organizers of freeway protests.
It never has been intended for pedestrians to be on the freeway. It is illegal. It is in statute against the law.
That's Representative Andrew Barkas believing the Washington State Patrol should have additional tools to prevent and quickly stop protests that are blocking interstates and critical infrastructure here statewide. Barkas attempted to pass a bipartisan sponsored bill during this year's legislative session that would make it a felony to organize a protest that blocks a highway. College football opening weekend as of yesterday. Will we have the Huskies on TV tonight with that kickoff at 8 p.m. over here at Husky Stadium against Weber State? The Big Ten Network and Comcast remain locked in dispute. That could prevent Comcast subscribers throughout the region from viewing tonight's game. For that matter, even the Oregon season opener. The Big Ten Network, which is owned by Fox, wants to be moved on to Comcast's expanded basic tier on systems along the West Coast now that UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Washington have entered the conference. Comcast has not budged as we check here. As a result, even subscribers who have paid for BTN on a Comcast sports tier are unable to watch live events involving the 4 West Coast schools. Of course, we'll keep an eye on this very, very carefully. Check it on sports. Mariners off to a great start on a 10-game road trip, 9-5 win against the Angels here. And again, kickoff for the Husky game tonight at 8 p.m. Cougars, meanwhile, over in the Palouse, they got a kickoff of 5, make that a 12 noon today here as they take on Portland State. Traffic now for you. John Nelson with an update from the High Performance Homes Traffic Center.
I'm always pleased to report on collision-free drives, which is what we have right now. Of course, a lot of events going on. We've got Huskies at UW later on today. Actually, that's at 8 o'clock tonight. We've got a concert at the White River Amphitheater, a concert at Climate Pledge Arena. We've got a concert at Merrymore Park. So you're going to find a lot of extra heavy traffic. And, of course, the Gorge is going to be seeing extra heavy traffic if you're heading out that way east of the mountains for Dave Matthews' big show. And it's been a while since I've been to the Gorge, but, not a whole lot of good roadways getting to that location. So pencil in lots of extra time if you're heading to the Gorge. I'm John Nelson, Northwest News Radio Traffic.
And a Labor Day weekend forecast sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services. Mid to upper 80s today with the sunshine. Tomorrow, 83, a few clouds, but still sunny and dry. Cloudy conditions for Tuesday, but looks like some sun breaks moving in, enough to move the temperatures at least to the mid-70s. Right now in Seattle, sunshine and 63.
The following program was paid for by LifePoint Law and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Radio management or staff.
Aging Options, how can we help?
It's time to know your options and master your future. My life, my plan, my way. LifePoint Law presents Aging Options with elder law attorney and life planning coach Rajiv Nagaich. Health, housing, finance, legal, and family. Know your options. Aging Options is not a law firm, but Rajiv is a lawyer. You should not reveal things you wish to keep confidential in this public setting. This program offers general advice. Having your questions answered does not constitute an attorney-client relationship. Contact your attorney or other professional to discuss your unique needs before taking any action related to the subjects discussed in this program. Now, here is nationally recognized retirement planning authority and host of National Public Television program, Master Your Future, Rajiv Nagaich.
Welcome, everybody, to Aging Options. It's Mark Christopher here. Quite the show this week with some items here that Rajiv is going to get right into. In fact, there's a major battle brewing right now between insurance firms and Uncle Sam, and even though you may not have heard about it, the outcome could affect millions of retirement savers just like you. The question, can a new set of government regulations force the financial industry to give you unbiased advice? It's a hot issue. And Rajiv's got some things to share that you should know about it. How about living with your kids? Are you making your retirement housing plans? Turns out a huge number of 55-year-olds, that's about 1 in 5, convinced that one day they're going to move back in with their adult kids. Multi-generational living can be great, but you really need to communicate clearly and plan well in order for it to work. Rajiv's got some ideas here. And also discussing estate planning, death and money, 2 taboo topics for most families, right? No wonder talking about your estate plan with your adult kids can be emotionally challenging, to say the least. Mom and Dad, you're the ones who really need to be initiating the discussion about your estate plan so your kids are better prepared. And today on Aging Options, Rajiv Nagaich here is going to help you in how to get that conversation going. Are you ready, my friend? You just have so much ready to go again with another outstanding show for us to call 206-421-1000 if you'd like to ask a question or share. Rajiv.
And am I ready? Am I ever ready? I mean, the first story, Mark, that you talked about, the insurance industry is fighting back. Fighting back whom? What are we talking about up here? We're talking about an industry that took in $215 billion from consumers. They're taking from their retirement accounts, putting them into annuities. So the companies that are fighting back are the annuity companies, the financial planning companies that rake in tons of money by not having to disclose what the fees are. And the Biden administration said, no, I think we need to go ahead and put a lid to this one. So we are going to limit how much these companies can charge. And more importantly, we're going to hold them accountable to the standard of a, quote, fiduciary, meaning you, the insurance company, and the insurance agent salesman, you must keep the interest of the people you're serving ahead of your own interests. And what does the insurance industry do, Mark? Fight back.
Yes.
Right? What do you mean fight back? Well, they've got lobbyists, right? They've got the money. They've got your money, $215 billion worth of money. And so they take that money and influence legislators first on the Hill. Second, any and every lawsuit that they can file against the government that this is illegal for any number of different reasons. And what is their defense as to why they should keep charging money? Because it gives consumers choices. And if you take this away from them, you force us to go and reduce our commissions and you force us to really succumb to the fiduciary rule, then somehow the insurance industry is going to have to limit choices that it gives you. What a bunch of malarkey. And you know what really made me think about this one was, so we know the insurance companies are in trouble. They can see it. Mm-hmm. They're doing something about it, right? They're fighting back. How are they fighting back? They're using your money to go against you. And here's what I say to the average consumer. How much money do you spend on fighting back as hard as the insurance companies are fighting back so they can keep messing with you? And the consumer's attitude is quite the opposite. Anything that I can get for free, I want to go ahead and get for free. And therefore, we get what we get. And are we ever surprised?
Right.
Look, if you have any questions on this story, here's the point that I want to go ahead and end up making. You have done one heck of a lot of planning around retirement issues. And many of you probably have these annuities in your portfolio. Mm-hmm. And the annuities we're talking about are taking a chunk of your retirement income and converting it into a guaranteed stream of income. And you've been convinced by a lot of people that this is the right answer for you. And then you bought into the whole thing and said, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to hear from you.
Yeah,
if you have done this, why did you do this? And I want to talk to you a little bit about why that may come back to backfire on you. So when we come back after the break, whenever the break is going to be, I really do want to talk a little bit about annuities are good for some people. Mm-hmm. But for some people, they can be horribly bad.
Well, see, this is another subject like, who knew this existed and this was going on, Rajiv, unless you have a program like this every Saturday for people to tune in from 9 to 10 here where they can ask questions, get more into the know of all that's going on here, this fiduciary standard block. I mean, I didn't know about this topic until he gave me the list of stories for the week. A reminder, too, go to lifepointlaw.com. Everything that Rajiv shares here with this subject, living with your kids, discussing estate planning, it's all posted with our executive producer, Tony. He puts them on the blog so you can read more into it with various links, lifepointlaw.com. Again, it's going to become a favorite. It's going to become a bookmark because it's just so much every week is updated here on what you need to know for a better plan and adding to your current plan of retirement. You'll also notice some dates there. Rajiv's going to be busy in the coming week now with the new month of September with more of these free workshops, these places where you can go meet up in about 90 minutes, bring a friend, family, coworker, and talk about and ask questions about your retirement plan and learn more about things like the discussion here, the fiduciary standard block situation going on here. Phone number, you got questions, you're more than welcome anytime. Interrupt, not a problem. 206-421-1000 here. That's anywhere you're listening, even online here. 206-421-1000. Aging Options underway right now here for this week. Final day of August. How's your planning for retirement? Let's make it even better. Don't go away.
Thanks for listening to Aging Options on News Radio 97.7 FM and AM 1000. Learn more by going to AgingOptions.com for blogs, videos, and the Aging Options portal. Visit AgingOptions.com for blogs, videos, and the portal.
You get sick during your retirement years. There's no one to help. What happens? Strangers step in, social workers, judges, even the state. If you think you're exempt because you're married or have kids, think again. You can outlive all the people you trust. There could be a divorce you didn't see coming or an estrangement. Aging without support makes you vulnerable. And if there's any chance you could be aging on your own, your retirement plan needs to be ready for it. Is yours? Will your retirement plan work even if you end up alone? That's the question elder law attorney Rajiv Nagaich will help you answer at his free retirement planning seminars in September. Learn how to create a plan for retirement that keeps you in the driver's seat, no matter what happens.
There's a free retirement planning seminar near you. Bremerton on September 3rd, Federal Way September 5th, Lakewood September 7th. To register, visit lifepointlaw.com or call 253-838-3454. That's lifepointlaw.com, 253-838-3454.
Aging Options will continue. Traffic and weather along the way. John Nelson checking roads here with a quick update now from the High Performance Homes Traffic Center.
Yeah, road work going on. Snoqualmie Pass, both directions all weekend long, and a lot of people will be heading out of town for various events. Bumbershoot happening through September 1st. Redmond to Seattle travel time, if you take I-90, it'll take you about 20 minutes. Federal Way to Seattle, about 27 minutes. I'm John Nelson, Northwest News Radio Traffic.
And our forecast here for today, here sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services. The sunshine is back. Temperatures well into the 80s. Don't forget that sunblock. Low tonight of 59. Comfy then for sleeping. And then we're back into sunshine for the most part, though a few clouds tomorrow, cooling it down to the low 80s. And then on Monday, cloudy conditions, but you should see some sunshine brightening things up at least to get into the mid-70s. Right now in Seattle, we're sitting at 63 here at Northwest News Radio.
But I cannot turn back the years.
Can't turn back the years. Everything you've done, it's done. Now for planning to play, to do all the efforts here in an effort to have a better retirement. And it comes with the knowledge here. And I think Rajiv Nagaich got us going right now here with a major battle brewing between insurance firms and Uncle Sam here. The outcome could affect millions of retirement savers just like you. So-called annuities that you thought, perfect, I'm set, might be in question. Why, Rajiv?
Well, there's a good side to annuities, at least on the sales pitch side of it. It's a pretty good I think, proposition the insurance companies make that, look, you've got a certain amount of money. We don't know what the future holds. The markets could go up. The markets could go down. Interest rates could go up. Interest rates could go down. We don't know what's going to happen. So how about you just discard and ditch all that uncertainty, give us the money, give us a pool of money, and we'll guarantee you a stream of income for the rest of your life. Now, who is this message going to appeal to most? It's the small to medium-sized estates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the people who don't have $25 billion in a bank account.
Correct.
And you want to go ahead and have the certainty of a future. So the very same people that this message appeals to when you're healthy. Now, what is the biggest financial threat that this particular demographic in our population is going to face? What is the single biggest financial threat these people will face is an uncovered medical illness. You fall ill sometime in retirement, you've got a small to medium-sized estate, you took a chunk of your money, let's say you had $800,000 sitting in a retirement account, and some insurance company convinced you that you need to pony up, if you exchange $400,000 or $500,000 of that money, and we'll give you a lifetime stream of income of $3,000 a month. Today, in 2024, that $3,000 will solve a lot of problems, right? There are three problems with that thinking. Number one, inflation. What have the last few years taught us about inflation? Inflation will always outstrip your income. The $3,000 that sounds like a great amount of money today may not be enough for you in future. And these insurance policies, once you take that money, they're not indexed for inflation. They are stuck with whatever that dollar amount is. Number two, your single biggest financial threat in future is going to be an uncovered medical illness. Why? Because Medicare will pay for heart attack, stroke, cancer, diabetes, cholesterol. What will it not pay for? Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, old age, frailty, any illness for which there is no medical cure. Why would Medicare get involved with that? But Medicaid will when you spend all your money down to $2,000. You can work with a good elder law attorney and you can protect some of that money. What can you not protect when you're doing Medicaid planning? Income. What does that annuity look like? It looks like income to the Medicaid system. So any income that you're getting, so you took $500,000 of your money, put it into an annuity, now you're getting a guaranteed stream of income for $3,000 a month. If you ever need to look to Medicaid, hand that $3,000 over to the government or to the care facility. I cannot protect that. If you had kept that $500,000 as an asset base, that money could have been protected. That's the second problem that we are not even thinking about today. And the third problem that we are thinking about this one is a retirement account put into an annuity. One of the biggest sales pitches that we are given is that, annuities are going to be tax-deferred, tax-free, something along those lines. And if you take a retirement account, you've got 15 years over which we can go ahead and spread the taxes. How about if you don't take the money out as an annuity, and you got the rest of your life to go ahead and spread the money on, right? The question that we are dealing with, I think, the insurance companies, they manipulate and they take advantage of the short-term thinking of the consumer. When you're healthy, what are you thinking about? Just the healthy years.
Right.
What do I need to worry about the next 3 to 5 years? I think I could use some way to protect myself. And they sell you on this idea that you're protecting, the protection that you give. For a significant portion of the people that this was supposed to protect, they will end up being hurt more than they will end up protecting.
Lots to think about. And he's getting you to think about some questions here. So that's why you can call right now at 206-421-1000. Your host, Rajiv Nagaich, here with Mark Christopher. It's called Aging Options. It's here every Saturday. Raise a question here, and let's see if we can get you back on the right track here of perhaps something you weren't too sure of until now. And what Rajiv has shared with you here about this fiduciary standard being blocked here. Big story in Wall Street Journal. And again, you can read more about it at the blog here if you go to lifepointlaw.com. Again, lifepointlaw.com. And as we listen to you again, Rajiv, this week, again, we're just hearing we need help with planning and knowing all there is to retirement. And just a quick line or two, how you got so involved in this and you just show the energy that somebody had to figure this out, so why not me? And you have quite a few clients as a result of that. And look at this with the radio show and TV as well.
It really is one of those stories, Mark. It's not a difficult story. I come from India. I see all four of my grandparents be able to live out their retirement years, their later years, and they were able to live out their lives in their own home. They never had to worry about being thrown out of their home. I came here, met my wife in Spokane, Washington, saw my father-in-law, who after 40 plus years of working had built a house paid for, a few $100,000 in the bank, and he got Alzheimer's. His wife didn't want to put him in a nursing home. She didn't have any choice when the doctor says, you don't have a choice. You need a place for him. He needs to go to a nursing home. In the next several years, all the money they had saved over their lifetime runs out. And that's about the time that I was meeting this man when he was already stuck in a nursing home and the family had lost all their savings.
Wow. Yeah.
And as an insurance agent at that time, or an insurance executive at that time, working for all state insurance companies, the only thing that went through my mind when I saw Bill in this nursing home, how does the richest country in the entire world take care of the old people when they can't take care of themselves? Mm-hmm. Right? Not really well. And so that then became the stimulus for me to go back to law school and do everything that I do. And the single focus that I have, even to this date, I cannot stand the thought that any older person who's worked hard all his or her life is going to be given no choice other than to go to some institutional care setting when they become unable to manage their own affairs. That, to me, is not a failure of the system. Is the failure of the individual doing proper planning. And the problem is, again, insurance industry. I mean, think of the number that I saw. $215 billion of the consumer's money is what they raked in the first 6 months of 2024, which is going to be a $500 million industry is what this is. No wonder they're going to fight like dogs to try and keep that gravy train growing. How much fight does the consumer do? Who is helping the consumer take this fight to the industries? And the answer is precious little. That's the mantle that I took on to go ahead and say, all right, if nobody else will do it, I will do it.
And how many times, if we have a new listener tuning in right now and they're like, well, it's not going to happen to me. I'm healthy. Everything's going to be fine. I got my money. I'm going to live a lot of years. And then maybe, just one day just naturally go to sleep and my life comes to an end. What's the percentage here of people that end up needing help because of illnesses?
It's just ridiculously high. 70% of Americans do not get to live out their lives in their own home. I mean, this is a statistic you cannot fight, whether you're a long-term listener or whether you're a new listener. Internalize this. You're looking at the rest of your life and saying, I want to live a long, healthy, happy life. Want to make sure that if I fall ill, I don't end up in a nursing home, become a burden, or die broke. There's a 70% chance you will not be able to do that. There is a 70% chance. Listen to that statistic. But you can do things to turn that around. And that's what these seminars that we do is really just talk about this in an honest, open, refreshing manner about why this happens, what you need to do differently.
And increase the knowledge is the key to this. And but Rajiv is speaking of the busiest guy in the world of retirement to help all of us, has time to put together some seminars, workshops. They're fun. They're entertaining, I want to say, in a good way, because you'll just be amazed at how many times you smile like, I just didn't know these things. He's got one coming up here in the coming week in Bremerton, September 3rd, 6:30 p.m. Again, 90 minutes are free. Bring a friend, bring a coworker, maybe a neighbor. If that doesn't work, then on Thursday, September 5th, Federal Way. If that doesn't work, he does one right after the show next Saturday, September 7th. That's going to be in Lakewood. That might be handy for you there in the South area, beginning at 11:30. These are free. They're 90 minutes. Go to LifePoint lifepointlaw.com. That's where you'll register so he has an idea of how many people are coming. Again, that's lifepointlaw.com. Click on events, and he'll get you all set. And I guarantee you're going to take a lot of notes, even more so than you are taking right now. Make note of the phone number. Rajiv loves questions here at 206-421-1000. Everybody's got a different story. Perhaps you're right in the middle of a matter that Rajiv just shared here. 206-421-1000. Aging Options continues right here on Northwest News Radio. Time to look at some traffic. We'll get to the weather forecast. John Nelson now from the High Performance Homes Traffic Center. John.
A lot of people heading out of town for the big holiday weekend still, and you're going to find some delays on Snoqualmie Pass where the roadway is reduced to 2 lanes both directions for some very necessary road work that they had to get done. Also, there's a concert at the Gorge Amphitheater, so expect extra heavy traffic there. But I did see my cameras up at the Gorge right now. Traffic looking pretty good out that direction, but of course that's bound to change. We've got ongoing construction projects that'll slow you down throughout the greater Seattle-Tacoma area as well. The roadway, again, reduced to 2 lanes, I-90 Snoqualmie Pass. I'm John Nelson, Northwest News Radio Traffic.
And our Saturday forecast sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services. Look at this sunshine. Probably one of the nice Labor Day weekends in a long, long time. Temperatures well into the 80s, mid to upper 80s for many parts of western Washington. Heat advisory for eastern Washington. They're going from mid-90s in places like Spokane, Tri-Cities, even in Yakima. Up in the mountains, it'll be well into the 80s. Overnight lows will be in the upper 50s. Right now in Seattle, we're at 64 here at Northwest News Radio.
I swear we've been through everything there is. Can't imagine anything we've missed. Can't imagine anything the two of us can't do through the years.
Yeah, then comes that time we need to sit down and discuss estate planning. 2 taboo topics for most families right here. No wonder talking about your estate plan with your adult kids can be emotionally challenging, to say the least. Talking about the end of life, most people avoid it until something happens, and then it's like, okay, we better deal with it now. Estate planning, how do we get that discussion going, Mr. Rajiv Nagaich?
You know, this article is a good article. You ought to pay attention to this one. This article talks about the types of conversations you need to have. And in the article, the author is suggesting that the responsibility, as you, Mark, said, lies on you, the parents. You've done some estate planning. You've got some ideas about what you need to do. And the sage advice that is given is have this conversation often. Make sure that that everyone knows as to what needs to happen up here. And so let's just go to the article. Let me just go ahead and point out. The first thing that it says is it's a tough but critical topic for conversation. Got it. Agree. Get your own estate planning in shape before you have the conversation. So get your documents in place, right? Okay.
Good. That's good.
Got that. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. What documents do you have? Why and where are they? So that's what you need to tell them. You know, what documents you have, why, and where are they? The next thing it says is discussing details affects loved ones emotionally. And it could be, and they give, of course, examples of who's going to get what and how large is the estate, etc. They talk about that. Okay, kind of, sort of, I get that. And then it talks about ways to minimize the emotional overload and plan your executor carefully. Communicate early and often. And I'm saying, this is the type of advice you get. No wonder we have 70% of us are going to go into a nursing home because of this advice that we are getting. Mm-hmm. What is wrong with this advice? Here's what's wrong with the advice. Think about the term estate planning. What do you want an estate planning attorney to help you with? And I'll tell you, I'm an estate planning attorney because I went to law school. In law school, they teach us that as an estate planning attorney, you're supposed to help your clients with 3 problems. Problem number 1, most people who will walk into your office, they will have accumulated stuff. Sadly, none of us is going to take any of this stuff away with us when we die.
True.
So the first thing is, who do you want to leave all this stuff to the day you die? For that, there'll be a will or a trust, and that's what the article is pointing to. Select your executor carefully. When will the executor's job come into being? When you're dead, right?
Right.
So the first question is going to be, who gets what when I die? Will or trust? Both of them do exactly the same thing. Second problem besides death is going to be illness. I could fall ill. And if I fall ill, somebody will need to pick up the pieces and do things I was doing for myself, pay bills, file taxes, manage money, etc. Power of attorney. Mm-hmm. This document is only valid while you're living. The moment you die, this document dies with you. So who will manage my life if I fall ill until such time that I die? That's the second problem. And the third problem is going to be Besides death and illness, there's the in-between. I'm laying in the hospital, my body is shutting down, I'm dying. But the doctor's running around, no, we can put you in a ventilator, we can give you a feeding tube. Do I want a feeding tube if I was in a coma? In other words, how do I want to die? So when you read this article is talking about estate planning from a very traditional point of view. Who gets what when I die? How do I die? And who's going to manage my stuff till I die? And this article is saying you need to have these conversations. Couldn't be a worse way to approach the issue. After the break, I'll come back and I'll just lay it out for you. What is a better way to go ahead and do a family meeting, which you must and should do?
Here we go. Finally, somebody with the advice you're looking for. And you're going to have a question, too, so write it down. The phone number, 206-421-1000. Stay right where you are.
The News Watch never stops. News Radio 97.7 FM and AM 1000.
The Northwest's only all-news station.
We have a news break and more of Aging Options on the way. Good morning. It's 9:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Gaza, limited pauses in fighting began today to support a campaign to vaccinate children. The disease, once eradicated in Gaza, has resurfaced during the 11-month war between Israel and Hamas. The IDF also continues operations in the occupied West Bank. ABC's Brick Clinton has more.
There will be limited pauses in the fighting in Gaza from Sunday as the WHO rolls out a mass polio vaccination drive. But an Israeli source saying this is not the beginning of a full ceasefire. As for those Israeli raids in the West Bank, the IDF has not indicated how long they might continue for.
The FDA authorized the updated protein-based COVID vaccine from Novavax Friday. It follows last week's approval of the mRNA COVID vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna. Fans are mourning the death of Fat Man Scoop. His real name, Isaac Freeman III. The rapper's family in a post say he died Friday night. Video shows that he collapsed on stage while performing. The cause of death, unknown. This is ABC News.
97.7 FM and AM 1000. All news, all the time. For Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue, and beyond. The Northwest's only all-news station.
More of Aging Options on the way right now. I'm Mark Christopher with this news update. Last weekend, we brought you that update of when two stranded astronauts who were supposed to return after an 8-day mission to the International Space Station suddenly were facing 2 months because of a few system failures on their Starliner spacecraft. Well, the spacecraft about to return. As for the astronauts,
Boeing's Starliner capsule is set to return to Earth next week, but without its 2-person crew. The spacecraft is set to undock from the International Space Station on September 6th. The spacecraft blasted off June 5th and carried astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams to the ISS. But due to issues with the spacecraft, their return was delayed. The astronauts will fly home, at least that's the plan, aboard a SpaceX craft no earlier than February.
Como 4's Preston Phillips. The Washington State Department of Corrections searching for Christopher Brinkley, who escaped from a work program this week. The 33-year-old Brinkley was last seen near the Correctional Industries headquarters in Tumwater. He was serving time at Cedar Creek Corrections Center and was due for release between June 20th and 26th. He was last seen wearing a red shirt and khaki pants. If you know of his whereabouts, you're asked to call 911. Linwood Light Rail Extension. Voters approve the idea now. 16 years later, service begins in time for Labor Day weekend.
Riders can now get from Linwood to Westlake and Seattle in just 28 minutes. The extension now adds 2 light rail stations in Shoreline, one at I-5 and 148th Street, and another at 185th Street, as well as a station in Mount Lake Terrace.
I take the light rail and public transit pretty often, so I'm excited to be able to reach Linwood. Lots of good food up there.
But with the shiny new addition comes added concern for safety. Linwood PD adding enhanced police presence along with Sound Transit security ambassadors to keep riders safe.
Sound Transit has officially given a wide timeline for completion of this line north to Everett. They're saying it's going to happen between 2037 and 2041. The one line, as it stands, it can take a rider all the way from Linwood to Angle Lake in SeaTac.
That's Como 4's Hannah Knowles. Checking on sports right now. Mariners with a win to start off a 10-game road trip, 9-5 against the Angels yesterday. Both teams at it again today. College football, we got the Huskies tonight, 8 p.m., Weber State here in town. Cougars have a kickoff at 12 noon there in the Palouse. They're going to take on Portland State. traffic and weather right now for you. Here's John Nelson in the High Performance Homes Traffic Center. John?
Ooh, let's see if we can set a record for a collision-free drive. So far, so good. No collisions to report, but we do a lot of road work and a lot of stuff going on. People are heading to the gorge, so I-90 is going to be busy. But there's some construction on Snoqualmie Pass between milepost 54 and 52. The roadway reduced to 2 lanes. Concert at Climate Pledge Arena. We've got the Evergreen State Fair going on at the fairgrounds. We've got a concert at the Gorge Amphitheater, 5 p.m., so a lot of people heading that way right about now. Seattle Reign are at Lumen Field. We've got a Husky game going on at the Husky Stadium, so a lot of events taking place, so people will be kind of crowding things up a little bit very soon. I'm John Nelson, Northwest News Radio Traffic.
And checking out our forecast for the weekend, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services. Brian Calvert hanging out in the Como Weather Center.
Well, Mark, we get the holiday weekend started on a very warm note today. Mid-80s in the Seattle area, near 90 on the east side and south sound, 80 degrees up in Everett today. It is going to be a warm day. Another warm day tomorrow, although we'll take 2 or 3 degrees off the afternoon highs as we watch an onshore flow make its way in by late in the day. That onshore flow really throws us a loop on Monday, cools us off. We could see temperatures back into the 70s for Labor Day Monday. I'm Brian Calvert in the Como Forecast Center.
Right now, 67 and sunshine here in Seattle, Northwest News Radio. One day you'll say, all those years ago, I should have had a little bit more time planning my estate here, sitting down with my kids and talking to them about what I want here for my wife and I. And again, it's a subject that everybody avoids because who wants to talk about death, right? We all have challenges with it. That's why it's fun to have and great to have on radio here. Rajiv Nagaich with your host of Aging Options, discussing estate planning situation here with the family. And you're going to give us a few tips here on how to make it easier, or just how to face it and finally get it rolling here, Rajiv?
It is indeed. Before we went to the break, Mark, we talked about traditional estate planning is all around the death issues, right? Who gets what when I die, will or trust, who's going to manage my life if I fall ill until such time that I die, which is a power of attorney, and how do I want to die, which is your living will. That's what estate planning is all about. And this article is focused on what that estate planning conversation needs to be. And the challenge that I give people is this: look, the estate planning is a bigger part, a small piece of the much bigger puzzle of retirement planning, right? And what do you want out of retirement? In retirement, what you want and how your life is going to impact other people is, I don't want to end up in a nursing home if I was to fall ill. I want to have the certainty of knowledge of knowing that if I do fall ill, I will not become a burden on my loved ones, be it my spouse, be it my children, be it my other family members, or even be it professionals that I'm going to be working with. And the last thing is, I don't want to die broke, right? I mean, there can be no debate about it compared to, I just want to worry about planning my life. So what happens when I die? Compare that to, I want a life where I have certainty of knowledge that I can live a long, healthy, useful life. But if I fall ill, I don't end up in a nursing home, become burdened, die broke. We know the latter is going to be probably more important to most of us. And if that is more important to you, ask yourself this question: how much of this sound advice that we get in this article is going to help you not end up in a nursing home, become a burden, or die broke? Zero. Yeah. Mark, yeah. Zero. We're not even focused on the right issues that we need to talk about. And the problem is, who is writing this article? The article is written by estate planning professionals, a lawyer, a law firm, right? What do lawyers get taught in law school? Who gets what when I die? How do I die? Who's going to manage my stuff till I die? So my whole outlook in life about helping you is going to be around the issues that are important. I don't want to minimize that. We need that planning. Yes, we do. But dang it, that is going to be part of a much bigger puzzle. A family meeting must start with you having done your planning ahead of time. And we help virtually all our clients go through this family meeting because in the end, there are two things that become important. One is the word called perspective. If all you did was the planning this article is suggesting, just think about it this way. Okay. So you've done this planning, you're sitting at home, and you've now got a 55-year-old child, a son or daughter, who has been named as your power of attorney, your agent. That person finds you, an 85-year-old dad, falling down for the third time this week. what will that 55-year-old child's mind tell them to do? Well, dad's unsafe. I got to do something. Whatever the heck I got to do, I got to make them safe. Where will they get information? What is the information going to be? I'll go down, maybe talk to doctors, maybe talk to neighbors, maybe talk to friends, maybe talk to just about anyone who can help me and what their relationship or their experience has been dealing with the situation. What is the experience in America around people falling down for the third time? Oh, dad belongs in an assisted living in some place of care. So the next thing you know, armed with all these documents that you gave them, powers of attorney, living wills, handing of domain, all these documents, this person is going to use their wisdom properly, appropriately, to try and find a way to keep you safe. Now, look at it from your perspective, you, the 85-year-old who fell down for the third time this week. Mm-hmm. I think you probably will agree that, yes, if you put me into an assisted living, into a nursing home, into a group home, yes, I will be 100% safe. I'm not going to fight that. I am a little unsafe here. But by putting me there, I will be 500% miserable. As an older person, when you are 85 years of age, you are probably going to be willing to trade a little bit of your safety. I'm willing to be falling down a few times as long as it's nothing big. And if it happens to be a major event, that's my life. I would much rather trade 10 to 20% of my safety for 100% of my happiness.
There you go.
Where in this conversation, in this article, do we talk about the word perspective? None. So you don't need to have a conversation about, I have a will, trust, powers of attorney. Everyone's got an idea about what that is. We all have our perspective, what a power of attorney is. That's not the conversation you want. You want to have the conversation of, I am giving you this power of attorney for you to accomplish certain goals for me. I want you to help make sure that I don't end up in a nursing home. But it just can't be an empty promise. How is the kid supposed to not keep you out of a nursing home without giving up the job and becoming your unpaid servitude or your servant for the rest of your life? That's exactly what you don't want. So you need to have a plan. What do you want your life to look like when you're no longer in control of your life? Where do you want to be? Who do you think is going to be caring for you? And you need to put that shell together. Where will the money come from to pay for all of this care? We need to look at long-term care insurance policies, reverse mortgages, VA, Medicaid, all these programs. We need to go ahead and say to the children, you will need to do things for us. Pay our bills, file our taxes, manage our money, take care of our cars. If the plumbing starts leaking, call somebody. You need to pull a team of people together so that this can be done. Your goal, I don't want to end up in a nursing home or become a burden or die broke. It cannot be just slogans. Having wills, trust, powers of attorney, having lots of money by itself is not going to give you the outcomes you want. A solid plan, which will take some time for you to work on, that is what will give you the outcomes that you're looking for. But you can have the outcomes.
Right. The questions you have, feel free to call Rajiv Nagaich right here at 206-421-1000. You can also get to lifepointlaw.com. Check on the events page here. He's got 3 seminars coming up this next week alone. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. He's going to be in Bremerton Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Then on Thursday, Federal Way. And then on Saturday, next Saturday, right after this show, he's going to be over in the Lakewood area. These are 90 minutes in length. They're free to attend. You think you're taking a lot of notes right now? Wait till you see what happens when you're in front of him and hearing other people and all the situations and stories they're involved with here in planning retirement. Again, go to lifepointlaw.com, click on the events page. That's lifepointlaw.com. Don't feel you have to be in your 50s or 60s to go to these seminars. If you got your first job, if you're in your 20s, married, and you're thinking of children, and you're already thinking, what do I do when we get older if something happens? You're in that age bracket. Never too early to plan for retirement. Proof of that is wait till you see the variety of age that shows up at these seminars. Again, go to lifepointlaw.com, click on events. Again, we're serious about that phone number. If you got a question, we know you do. Call Rajiv right now, 206-421-1000. Again, 206-421-1000 here. Don't go away. Plenty more still to come on Aging Options right here at Northwest News Radio.
Thanks for listening to Aging Options on News Radio 97.7 FM and AM 1000. For more great articles to help guide your future, go to AgingOptions.com. That's AgingOptions.com and select blogs under the Free Learning Center tab. AgingOptions.com.
You know what keeps me up at night? The thought of outliving everyone I trust. My husband, my kids, even my grandkids. A woman I know went through this. She was a widow, and by the time she got sick at 95, all of her kids were gone. She had no one. Her retirement plan didn't account for this, so strangers had to step in to manage her life. I didn't want that from me or my husband, so we attended a free retirement planning seminar with Rajiv Nagaich. I am so glad we did. We learned how to plan for retirement in a way that prepares for the possibility that one of us might end up aging alone. It's such a relief to know that we have a plan that works, even if I end up on my own.
There's a free retirement planning seminar near you. Bremerton on September 3rd, Federal Way September 5th, Lakewood September 7th. To register, visit lifepointlaw.com or call 253-838-3454. That's lifepointlaw.com or 253-838-3454. lifepointlaw.com, 253-838-3454.
Northwest News Radio. Let's have a weather forecast, more of Aging Options, and more of your phone calls about retirement planning and needing some answers to some questions here. High Performance Homes Traffic Center. Here's John with a quick update.
We do have some delays for the Anacortes San Juan's ferry run. This is due to some issues with their reservation system. Port Townsend Coopville ferry run is full. Alternate routes would be Edmonds Kingston or Mukilteo Clinton ferry run. Starting to see the heavy traffic getting into downtown Seattle. I'm John Nelson, Northwest News Radio Traffic.
Labor Day weekend forecast. Sunshine pretty much dominating both today and tomorrow, though a few clouds tomorrow will cool things down. Mid to upper 80s today, mid 80s tomorrow, overnight low 59. Some clouds, though sun breaks on Monday, Labor Day, to bring temperatures up to about 70 and mid 70s.
What a drag it is getting old.
I thought it would be easy breezy here and just simplify. Just say I'm done with work, I'm retiring. Okay, Social Security, I've told them I'm retiring. I've got my Medicare all underway. And then suddenly, surprises. You just never know what's going to happen here on your health. Maybe you got to make a change and move. Maybe suddenly you're going to move in with your kids. Rajiv Nagaich here with the Aging Options every week with some great topics and stories to think about. And your phone calls at 206-421-1000 anytime. Again, 206-421-1000. Rajiv?
On the line is Marie from Gig Harbor. Let's get her on the line. Marie, you're on the air. How can we help?
Hello, Rajiv. Good morning. I am 75. I retired at age 72, but got late into the workforce. This year I will need my RMD. I will need to withdraw $4,000 out of my IRA money market fund, and I don't need the withdrawal to live on. And I'm wondering what would be a good thing to do with it, other than just putting it back into saving.
So a couple of questions, and that's such a personal question, but let me just ask you a few questions here. Are you single or are you married?
I'm single, but I have a partner.
You have a partner, okay. And roughly what is your net worth? In what range? Is it $1 million or less? Is it $1 to $2 million? Or is it $2 million or more?
Oh, I wish. No, it's less than $1 million, and
Okay.
I don't mind sharing the amounts.
Okay. And if it is less than $1 million, the reason why I ask is, I mean, this is as big an estate as you're going to have. So you have to treat this rather carefully. So the first question any financial planner will be asking, how much risk can you take with this money before they give you advice as to where to invest the money? You can take it to absolutely zero risk type of investments, which would be savings account, checking account, money market account, something along those lines. CDs maybe, they have almost no risk. Then you can take a look at on the other side as to what your tax rate is, and then you can put the money into tax-free investments. You can do that also. And you will get spun around in this conversation, and I can give you lots of advice where to put the money, but my advice basically is based on a much bigger picture usually. And for that, before I give advice, I ask people this. Okay, so you're single, you're with a partner. Do you and your partner own your home, or are you guys renting the home right now?
No, he built the home. There's no, I have no mortgage payments or obligation
Perfect.
in that way.
Perfect. So the question I will be having you and your partner, both I will be doing planning, you as a couple, and what I'd be challenging you to take a look at is, look at the rest of your life and say this. You want to live a long, healthy, fruitful life. But you also, at the same time, want to build in certainty of knowledge that if either you or your partner fall ill, that you're not going to be thrown into some nursing home, some care facility against your wishes, that you will not run out of money paying for uncovered medical costs, which is the single biggest financial threat that you'll end up facing. And you will not become a burden to other people, meaning other people will have to look in on you when you're no longer independent. And so you want to minimize their burdens. When you look at life from that perspective, then there are 5 key areas I take a look at. The first is health. What is your health situation? What is the likelihood you'll need to deal with long-term care? And what can we do today from a planning perspective to avoid you having to deal with long-term care? Meaning, how can I coach you to live healthier longer? Second thing, and the more important thing before I give you investment advice, would be the housing question. Let's pretend for a second either you or your partner, you fall ill today and you end up in the hospital. In the hospital, the nurse is saying to whoever your agent is, you or your partner or whoever the other people you're going to name in your powers of attorney, they're asking that agent, hey, Marie is going to be okay. We saved her life. You brought her in time. But now we need to release her from the hospital, but she can't go back home. Which rehab center do you want us to send you to? What do you want that answer to be? And it can't just be a glib answer. It has to be a thought out answer. If your answer is I want to come back home, then the way that I would advise you to invest the money would be very radically different. If you say, no, we are not going to be coming back home, I'm okay going to a care facility, or I'm going to, even before we become ill, we are willing to go to a retirement community, then my investment advice would be very different under those conditions. So I need to better understand what your housing goals are going to be. Then from there, I take a look at finances and recognize that with your estate that you have and you add your partner's estate, you got a much bigger than a less than $1 million estate. And the biggest part of your asset base is not just what you own, it is also these programs that you can actually qualify for. So I'll be looking at your future and saying, okay, if you were to fall ill today and Medicare refuses to cover that bill, how do we want to have that bill covered? Because that is your single biggest financial threat that you're going to end up facing. Will it be a long-term care insurance policy we should look at 72 years of age or 75 years of age, thinking about investing into? Should we maybe think about that? No, we're not going to go that route. It's too expensive, and we don't know whether we'll ever end up using it. So maybe some other way. Would a reverse mortgage be a good answer for you? Maybe that's not going to be a good answer because that's your partner's home. That's not your home. Should we look at VA or Medicaid to cover some of those bills? That, more than anything else, will allow me to tell you where to put the money. So when we are looking for simple answers, this is what the financial industry is going to count on, that you're not going to be asking these hard questions, and therefore they can give you simple answers that, hey, we can put the money into a mutual fund, we can put the money into bonds, we can put the money here, and you'll walk away thinking, wow, I've done a good job. And yet in the very long run, when you take a look at the rest of your life and say, I don't want to die broke, if you don't have the right structure to cover long-term care expenses, doesn't matter as to how you invested the money, none of that is going to matter. So the better way to do the planning, Marie, this is the hard message that I bring to people. You can do the traditional planning, which is ask these small questions, where to invest the money and what types of legal documents do I want to have? Or you can take time to go ahead and say, I want to look at the rest of my life only one time. And I want to build that framework that just about assures me that the rest of my life I get to live like the queen that I am. I will live a long, healthy, prosperous life. But damn it, if I do fall ill, I don't want to be told that the only option I have is to be put into a care facility. And I want to be able to accomplish that without becoming a burden to my partner or to my children or to my loved ones. And I also want to accomplish that without going broke. That's a much bigger and more complicated. So the answer I will give you where to invest money will depend on after I take a look at this. And I would strongly suggest that you, if you can, go to one of the seminars that I do and I lay it out for you. I promise you, your solutions will be much more satisfying than just these small-term gains that we are looking for. This will be a long-term permanent answer. You'll never have to worry about what happens, what your future is going to look like as it unfolds.
And look how far Rajiv went just with that one question here. And just a reminder, everybody, everything Rajiv shares, even the topic here Maria is asking about, you can find more to read here if you go to lifepointlaw.com. Again, lifepointlaw.com. Look into those seminars coming up this next week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Tuesday, he's going to be in Bremerton, Federal Way, then Thursday. Next Saturday, following the show, he'll be at Lakewood. 90 minutes. These are free. Bring a friend, a co-worker. You think you're learning a lot right now and getting all these questions and needing answers. What do you see what you experience at some of those seminars? You can go to all three, by the way, too. Again, go to lifepointlaw.com. More on the way. Check some traffic right now here and some weather forecasts for the holiday weekend. And right back at it here with more Aging Options at Northwest News. John Nelson again with an update here in the High Performance Homes Traffic Center.
Yeah, don't forget, if you're heading east of the mountains, the roadway reduced to 2 lanes both directions. I-90 Snoqualmie Pass for some ongoing road work. And looking at Port Townsend, Coopville Ferry Run, reservations are full. Alternate routes would be Edmonds-Kingston or Mukilteo-Clinton Ferry Run. Bumbershoot going on through September 1st, so expect extra heavy traffic in Seattle and, of course, the lower Queen Anne area. I'm John Nelson, Northwest News Radio Traffic.
And a holiday weekend forecast here for Labor Day. I keep thinking it's the 4th of July based on the temperatures I'm seeing coming. It's Labor Day weekend, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services. We're going for temperatures well into the 80s, mid to upper 80s in parts of western Washington. Of course, warmer away from the water's edge. It'll be in the 90s in eastern Washington, enough for another heat advisory there. 80s up in the mountains. If that's your destination, just watch for fire danger. Overnight lows, by the way, will be in the 50s. Dry weather through the weekend. Some clouds cooling down to the 60s, but could reach mid-70s on Monday, at least later in the day. All the fun of all we did when we were teenagers. Then it was time to move out of the house and be on our own, get a job, and just do great things. And then one day we were told, better start planning for retirement. I will. You said that in your 20s. You said it again in your 30s and your 40s. Some of you now in your 50s thinking, I should have listened. Well, listen to the show every week, and we'll help you catch up here at Aging Options. And your host, Rajiv Nagaich. Another story you had for this week, and here in the last segment here, living with your kids. Good idea, bad idea? What would be your advice here?
It's always a good idea under the right conditions. It couldn't be a worse idea if you haven't really thought it through before. Look, I mean, these studies are becoming, and after the pandemic happened, we saw a significant increase in uptake of the number of multi-generational families, as they call them, right? Mm-hmm. And these families do a good job. And the article does a good job of really having you take a look at what are the common types of issues. And really, in the article itself, there's a link to a video that this lawyer has created. It's called Multi-Generational Law Firm or Law Group or something like that. And they have a video up there about what you need to take a look at. Great article, great information.
Okay, it's all for you there. LifePointLaw.com. Again, LifePointLaw.com. Look into those seminars. Final words, my friend, for another show this week.
Hey, this is awesome. Thank you, John. Until we meet again.
The preceding program was paid for by LifePoint Law and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Radio management or staff.
Tax season, what's your plan in getting a bigger refund? You can go almost everywhere. There's so many experts. Retirement, what's your plan into not running out of money or being a burden to your family? 70% of Americans right now in this country